So today we start we finished chapter 10. We talked essentially about realizing, like the first, I guess, step is to realize that through davening and putting in some effort to really understand and appreciate and think about what we're davening and really trying to connect to it will change our lives. And basically we're going to be working on different steps. So the next chapter, this chapter, there's 5 steps that he gives to how to help you daven. Now, we just have to figure out how it applies to us. And I think one of the things we have to realize that this sefer was written in a specific time for a specific type of people. And we have to learn what it's saying to get the idea. And then we figure out how we apply it to our own specific situations. And you'll see here, there's certain things that not necessarily for us, but the idea is, and we can figure out how to apply it to ourselves. So chapter 11, 5 preparations to daven. There are 5 preparations to prayer. And they are filtering out thoughts of mundane matters, studying Chassidus, self-deprecation through bitterness, arousing abundant compassion, contemplating that one stands before God. And essentially what he's saying is these are 5 steps we should be taking. Some of them, he's going to say it's not every day, but these are going to help us be able to be in the right frame of mind when we go to daven. So now, to open one's mind and heart in order to serve Hashem, serve God through prayer, a person must prepare his soul, turning it into a receptacle suitable to receive light. So in order to daven and properly, it's a simple example. It's hard to daven when you have, let's say, a TV or your phone is next to you and there's messages coming. It's distracting. And so basically that's what he's going to talk about, how to set yourself up in a position that you'll be clear of mind and you'll be able to daven, you'll be able to focus on your davening, So let's see. In the brackets, many individuals for this reason become excited only through generalized meditation. The moment that they begin to contemplate the specifics of a subject, they cool off completely. For having not been conditioned to receive light, their souls are unreceptive to this illumination. Meaning, because they haven't prepared themselves properly beforehand, so when they start to daven and they start to think about ideas and try to connect to these ideas so they can have this connection to God, it doesn't work when it gets into details because you're distracted. You're too busy distracted with all these other thoughts that you haven't really prepared yourself properly. So it doesn't work. It's like, for example, before you're going to do exercise and you ate something not good for you. So then when you start to try to run and stuff, you start to feel uncomfortable and it's not working. And so what he's saying is you have to make sure that you prepare yourself before you run, you stretch properly, things like this. Consequently, such people can become excited from generalized meditation since it's only peripheral and a revelation of a makif type of light, which is produced by generalized meditation, as known doesn't require a receptacle. So you could get this level of excitement. You could get excited from something you're learning, but it's not. He's saying it's not internalized. It's not an internalized excitement because you didn't prepare yourself properly. So you could feel excited and that's something you heard, but it's very quick and it doesn't have the long-lasting effect that we're looking for. But to meditate in great detail, which initiates an inward revelation of the light, this requires a suitable vessel to receive it. In order for it to come to really internalize within you and to really have that feeling of change, to really have an effect of your day, for that, you have to prepare yourself. And this is what he's going to discuss, how to prepare yourself. Meaning you could come and say every day you're going to listen to some like, I used to do this. Yossi Jacobson, he has like these little meditations. Now God cares about you and God, and it says in the Zohar that you would run faster than a lion runs to catch its prey to God if you realized how much he loves you. So I used to listen to this before davening, and this is good, but he's saying if you don't prepare yourself, so you could have this idea while you're listening while you're on your phone checking text messages, and so you get excited for a little bit, but it's not going to long last. And that's what he's going to discuss, how to make it more grounded. So first thing we need to do is filter one's thoughts. A person must rid his mind of any worries that would otherwise trouble or disorient him during prayer. Accordingly, our sages advise, and this is from Shulchan Aruch, a person should always enter into the shul a distance equivalent to 2 entrances. Halachically, I'm sure it's also, I don't know about the women's section, but I'm sure it is. And also downstairs in 770, let's say, when you walk into shul, there's two doorways. But luckily, you're meant to go one doorway, and that's sort of coming from the outside with all the outside concerns. And then you're meant to get rid of all those outside concerns. And then you go in the second door, and that's the getting ready for davening door. And so you're saying when you come to daven, you have to try to work on clearing your mind and focusing that now I'm going to daven. I just start davening and my mind's still running from what I have to do in the day or a text message I saw. That's why it's a very healthy thing before we daven, try to not use our phones, try to have a phone off if possible. And everyone in this situation to figure out what's the best way of applying this to themselves. But having your phone off before you daven, because remember, this is a shift in perspective of davening. The davening is not just something that we're meant to do according to halacha, and that's it. And so I just have to read some words and be done with it. But it's something that I want to enjoy. I want to connect, and I want to spend the time that it takes to really get into it. It's in order for that. So you're saying in order for that to happen, it's an important step is to try to clear your mind. Yeah, in other words, upon coming in from the outside, i.e. from his physical and material concerns, a person should not hasten to pray immediately. Rather, he ought to wait until he discards and dispels his earlier concerns so that they won't disturb him. This explanation is written in Shulchan Aruch Arachayim. This is halacha, that you have to clear your mind before you daven. You want to try to concentrate on God and how God is in the world and is creating everything and how he's connected to you and how, I want to be connected to that. It's hard to do that when your phone's running, so to speak, and you're distracted. And that's why also it's helpful when you daven in the morning, first thing, if possible. But again, there's different people, if you're married with kids and the first thing you're running around trying to take care of the kids, get them to school, it's not possible. So everyone has to sort of tailor it to the situation, but just understanding that it's going to help me to daven, and this will help me with most things in life, if I'm clear and I'm focused. And he continues. And if regarding to Torah study, as sages said, a person should proceed his prayer not with discussion to decide law, but only with the study of final law. So even if you're learning halacha before davening, the only way you can do it is if you're learning something that's like the final halacha. But you can't start learning a piece of Gemara that's going back and forth and things like this, and like having discussions because it's distracting you. And then when you're davening, you're thinking about this. You're not thinking about the davening. So he says, then certainly must one utterly banish from his heart any mundane concerns. So for sure, if it's mundane, nothing going to do with davening at all, nothing going to do with Torah, you should for sure try to remove it. Though he may not be involved with worldly culture, nevertheless, while disengaged from prayer and Torah study, his eye sees and his heart entertains thoughts of material affairs. Not wicked thoughts, but mundane ones. So he's saying, and even if you're going to say, what do you mean? But my life is good. I'm in seminary, or I work in a preschool that I'm teaching Torah. I'm doing all these good things. Even my so to speak mundane thoughts are all in a good place. So he says, yeah, but that's not in the Torah place. It's not in the davening place. So as much as it's nice that you live in that world, but at the end of the day, what you're seeing, even if it's not asa, but those thoughts distract. He should thus ready himself for prayer, and with this preparation, commence his davening of talis and tefillin. So he's saying, and with that, this is the preparation that we do. So now he says in the brackets, basically, and I'll tell you outside the short, he's saying, people complain that I can't clear my mind. I'm distracted, and I'm so stressed, I'm so worried, and I can't get rid of it, and it just bothers me, and so I can't daven properly because I just can't get rid of this. He's saying it's not true. Many bemoan their inability to remove their worries. A person, however, must consider how when it comes to physical needs such as slumber, going to sleep, he's able to dismiss his heartfelt troubles in order to fall asleep. As much as we're tired, it's not like we go for 5 days without sleeping. It's just impossible. It might be something that's really worrisome. We'll still manage to figure out how to sleep. It's not, you can't just live without sleep. Thus, a person possesses the ability to set aside his anxieties and worries for something that is indispensable to his physical well-being. If you need it, so you'll be able to figure it out how to get rid of those worries enough to get you to sleep. If so, how much more so does he possess the ability to act likewise for a matter that is crucial to his soul? So then, essentially, if we just got to realize how important davening is, And if by sleeping we know how important sleeping is, or eating, you're not feeling well, chas v'shalom, and but you need to eat to keep your body, give it strength. So you make sure to eat. It's hard sometimes, but you do. Why? Because you realize that my body needs the energy. So if we can recognize that with davening, so we'll put in the effort to figure it out, to be able to have that clarity of mind so we can daven. If the time of prayer were cherished by him, he could easily dispel any troubles and worries from his heart. Yeah, if it's important enough. And there's nothing wrong if it isn't at the moment. This is what we're doing. We're trying to figure out how davening is important and try to realize how to connect with them. And if he cannot readily accomplish this, then he should make a soulful accounting along the lines described above. For a physical reason, I can forget my troubles. How much more so then can I do so for a spiritual reason? One that is critical to my soul's general welfare. Through reflection of this sort, a person will in fact achieve this objective. So you're saying, and if it doesn't work, it's really hard. So then you have to just spend some time recognizing how important is this to me? And how important is it to my soul's well-being? I want to be connected to my soul. I want to be connected to my godly soul. And I need to do this. But I wouldn't say that's a daily thing. That's just a general recognition. If you're trying to do it and suddenly you realize I'm just way distracted, so I'm going to say, well, I got to start trying to not be as distracted, and I got to try to help myself. And say, oh, but it's hard. But this is important to me. I want to daven. I want to have that connection. I want to be, living that lifestyle that's totally connected with God. So I got to put in the effort. I got to try. And so in general, we set ourselves up by let's say making sure our phone's off in the morning, or maybe listening to some music that's calming, that helps us get in the frame of mind. And that's what he's saying, essentially get in the frame of mind. Which time do we have? We'll go a little bit more up. We started a little late. Standing in one spot. Included too in this process is that one should stand on a single spot while praying and not wander about. For aside from the fact that walking around during prayer is disruptive to one's devotion and meditation, so you have to stand. You're saying you should be in one spot, and this is a very good example that if you're davening, wherever it is, at home, find a place that works for you, and try to have that place consistent, because the consistency will help it. So so if you're davening at home, so maybe find a place that's quiet, not in the kitchen where everyone's making breakfast. It could be in your room, it could be on your roof. I don't know how cold it is nowadays, but I'm saying, whatever it is, or if you're in shul, find the same place that's a nice, good place for you. For aside from the fact that walking around during prayer disrupted one's devotion meditation, the person cannot help then but notice all that is going on around him. Because if you're not in the right place, so you're distracted. If you're walking around or you're in a place where it's busy, it's distracting you. When I first came to 770 as like a bacher, I used to come in the morning like 9, 10 o'clock, and I'd stay there till 2. I barely daven. I just would stare at everyone. I was like, this place is crazy. Just watching everything. So that's what he's saying. It could be very, these things are very distractive. And if you're trying to not distract yourself, but you're trying to focus on the davening, so try to set yourself in a place that's not distractive. Don't be walking around. Don't be in a place where the things are busy, which will disturb and disrupt him. Not like those who delude themselves, claim that only through pacing up and down can they meditate properly. Because some people are saying to Rabbi Shab, no, what do you mean? For me, it's easier when I'm walking around. He's saying it's not true. With an expansive mind and heart. This is a patent mistake. For what the person really experiences is an inflation of his external spiritual spirit and a sensation of self-awareness, containing no inwardness at all. He's not really feeling the realness of the davening that he's meant to, but it's all very external. It feels good, but it's not really tangible. It's not lasting. It's not internalized. On the contrary, roaming about is disrupted to expansive meditation that is genuine inward. True meditation, true real connection that you have through the meditation won't work this way. Therefore, a person should remain in a single spot and focus his mind and heart only on prayer. So we should find ourselves a place that's good. Could be, we could put, let's say, flowers or something, or have books or something that we sense, and we like, that it puts in the mood, and have that place. And this is my davening spot. Yeah, that was basically it. So we just talked about how we got through a lot today, Baruch Hashem. We talked about the 5 preparations to daven. The first one being trying to clear our minds, and that could be by not turning on our phones in the morning, or reading something before. He's just going to talk about learning Chassidus first. We're trying to clear ourselves and also have a spot where we can daven and not be just davening, walking around doing a million things, if possible. I'm going to start the recording, and then you can ask questions.